The Spurs talk show. Look what I've managed to put together for you. It's Devil's Advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. The dynamic trio, the triple threat, the Devil's Doom. We got some bombers for you. Please make yourself known in the comment section. Please smash the little nanny out of that like button. Smash the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop them comments as we go through today's show. It's good to get the guys back. The boys are back in town. Dave, how you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, not too bad, lad. Not too bad. Still waiting for transfers to arrive in the door, a meaningful transfer anyway that, improves this squad drastically for next season. Couple of rumours today. Not sure how people feel about them. I'm a bit sceptical, I'm not going to lie, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
We're going to get into it, mate. Johnny, how you doing, mate? I spend basically a few hours of my day every day talking to you, mate. You're wearing a new little shirt, bud. You got a new shirt, a new hat? What are we doing there?
Yeah. Listen, look, there's nothing wrong with a bit of DH gate, mate.
Has it even been released yet? Has it even been released yet?
This is this year's, mate. Look,
oh, this year's one. This year's one. Okay,
year, mate. 13 quid. Outrageous behaviour. Outrageous behaviour. Listen, I support the club in every way, home and away. Just not really keen on paying £100 a shirt.
£100 for a shirt, yeah.
But no, listen, look, there's lots of Spurs news out there. But, what we need is something to get our teeth into, something to gnaw on. And right now, we're not gnawing. You got Sunderland spending 100 million. You got Leeds spending 50, 60 million. Even Burnley are, splashing the cash. Arsenal are about to go full bomber mode. Man City have done it. Everyone's doing it. Well, not everyone, but the ones you expect to, and 3 have just come up that you don't expect to be doing it are doing it. And Spurs fans sat a little bit frustrated, Sean, and understandably so.
I mean, is it understandable? I mean, we are only on the 9th of July. We're only on the 9th of July, Johnny. We've got a lot of time left in the window, but we only have a couple of weeks until the first friendly. Pre-season training has started. Thus far, we have Kota Takai come in. We've got Oliver Boast that's come in. We have Kevin Danzo that's been agreed, and we've got Mathys Tel that's coming. 2 of those, obviously, are with players we already have, so you're never going to get excited about the confirmation of a player. Oliver Boast, obviously, you don't know anything about him, or at least I don't.
Sean, you got to stop boasting, mate. I mean, boasting about this kid. He's like 16, mate. He's 16. Okay, mate, well, come back to us in 4 years' time, and we'll have a conversation. But like if you're going to get the juices flowing, right? You're going to get the juices flowing. It's like dangling a little carrot. Here, boy, here, right? And all the fans are up like this already. And sorry. And that's what we're used to. And so, we take everything with a pinch of salt. Doesn't matter until you're stood there holding up the shirt. I'll never, ever forget the day when William was going to sign for Spurs, and I was all excited, and so were the Spurs board. Do you mind if I just go to the toilet, nipped into the toilet, climbed out the window, jumped in the car and drove to Chelsea, right? That's Tottenham for you. So
yeah. Apparently, there has been some part of the money that Tottenham Hotspur are looking to get as a new investment is scheduled and been put to one little sort of investment pool. They're going to be putting bars on the window in the toilets, making sure that no one can ever do what Willian did to us ever again. We're going to make sure that when they get to the training ground, they cannot leave unless they've got a visitor's badge that they're sacrificing. Dave, my man, are you wildly upset so far, mate? Are you frustrated, or are you kind of contemplated that these things take time, these things happen?
No, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly frustrated, Sean. When there was a transfer market opened, and Tottenham didn't act because we were pissing about with a managerial selection, which we could have got done a lot quicker if we wanted to and got his coaching staff, but we didn't. We sort of dragged it out all window, and all the teams that he's expected to go and compete with over the next season or two, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, we're all moving in the market, all bringing in their marquee players. We're off the back of last season. We knew we needed 3 or 4 at least sort of quality players to come in here and drag this squad up a level, not only to help Frank, but also help him achieve the goals that the club are going to set on him, you know, in terms of league and stuff like that. And I am worried. I'm seeing everyone else sort of get their marquee players in, signings of significance, and we're sitting here bringing in Toko Takai. I'm not being funny, but that one could have been done at any time in the window. You know, I just think, again, we're pissing about in the transfer window and we're not really showing any sort of commitment to really driving on and pushing forward where other clubs are. And what irks me even more is I keep being told Tottenham have all this PSR room and everything else, but all the clubs that apparently don't, they're still bringing in players. They don't use, that as an excuse. Then I was told, well, clubs only at the Club World Championship are buying. Okay, well, Liverpool bought Frimpong and Wirtz, Man United brought in Matheus Cunha, all players that Tottenham fans would have been happy to see come in here. Then you're thinking, okay, well, they still got time to get their act together. We're just a little over a month out from the start of the Premier League campaign. Did we not learn our lesson last year? We brought in Udogie just before the season started, Solanke just before the season started. What happened? They couldn't get up to speed quick enough. They end up suffering injuries and stuff like that. We just don't learn lessons. These players with a new manager, especially the marquee signings, should be in the door for pre-season, ready for this guy to work with, to integrate into the tactics, to understand the tactics, and integrate with his players so that when the Premier League comes around, it's not going to cost us points like it has done in years gone by. Now, I understand traditionally Tottenham usually act late enough in the market, but at some point, why can't you show the ambition of some other clubs and start getting your business in early, start being a bit more proactive? Then I was told, wait till the 1st of July, we'll start announcing players then, new tax year. Fantastic, but other clubs ain't doing that. And this is my problem. It's constant delay tactic. Now, I can understand Thomas Frank coming in here and holding fire on letting players go out of the club because he will want to come in and assess what he's got in that regards. And there will be players that will surprise him in a good way and players that will surprise him in a bad way. However, you can't tell me when he took on this interview, your process, that he didn't say to the board, in these certain areas, I need signings. I need a signing of this player, this caliber for this position, and I need it in the door. This is non-negotiable, regardless whether I look at the rest of the squad and assess what I've got and stuff like that. So for me, that's where my irritation comes in, because Frank also said it in his interview. In his first interview, he said, look, I can't do this all on my own. I need help from Lang. I need help from Levy. I need help from Vinay. I need transfers. Still waiting.
Do you guys think, Johnny, I'll start with you, that is there truth to this notion that Tottenham are paying a Tottenham tax because they've burnt so many bridges that that essentially that Daniel Levy's made it so difficult to go to Premier League clubs to work in good faith because of the way that he handles negotiations? And when you compare that to people like Todd Boehly, who park to one side the fact that he's done the left arm to your right arm sale and loan back bollocks, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he's not breaking Premier League rules. He might be breaking UEFA rules, but he's not breaking Premier League rules doing it. The clubs are the lawmakers, and that they decided not to close those sort of loopholes. And so, at the end of the day, he's working within his own remit. But to me, Johnny, it starts to become questionable when you see, Todd Boehly he doesn't seem to nickel and dime over $1 million or $2 million here and there. He creates goodwill relationships where you're willing to pay a few million more here for the player that the club want, and then maybe 12 months later, something comes back your way, almost like karma. A player will, someone will come in for your player and you'll just make it easy. These things just seem to be a little bit easier for deals to happen. And I don't obviously know the specifics, but it comes across that deals look a little bit easier for everyone other than Tottenham. And when you hear rumours that Tottenham were rejected in a 50 plus 5 million fee for KUDUS, and they went back with 50 plus 12, but the other 7 was based on conditions that you're never going to ever materialise, it just ends up with a scenario where you're just you're wasting people's time, and you end up making it so exhausting of an experience to deal with you that's why fan bases get frustrated with the likes of Daniel Levy and the idea of dealing with Tottenham is just it's just not worth doing at the end of the day.
I'm surprised at you, Sean, for actually putting it like that, because you're one that believes Daniel gets bad press. I don't personally believe this is a Tottenham tax. Personally, if I'm brutally honest, I think it's realistic. I don't think he's worth £65 million. I'll be brutally honest, right? I'm not going to say he's not going to come in and do a job, but you know, I like to see the players that I'm acquiring, or the club, my club is acquiring, should I say, who are on an upward trajectory. And you're not going to tell me Mohamed Kudus is in an upward trajectory when he scored 5 goals and 3 assists from 32 games. Yes, he had a better season the season before. And then they go, oh, well, West Ham had a bad season this season. So what happened to Jared Bowe with 13 goals and 8 assists, right? I think, you know, West Ham are our rivals. We haven't done a deal with them in 14 years. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why we haven't done deals with Chelsea, because they don't want to do dealing with us, right? You look at Arsenal, not every deal with Arsenal has been easy. You know, they've been trying to do the deal with Sesko and with Gyökeres. Gyökeres has had to give up £2 million of his own money to try and make the deal go ahead. If the deal's going to go, it's going to go. It will progress as and when it does, right? You're
Quickly,
not
Johnny, super sorry. Yeah, just give me 5 seconds. Just for those guys that are listening on audio, I'm just bringing up on the screen a tweet from Fabrizio Romano that is saying that Tottenham keep advancing in talks with Mohamed Kudus. Literally just broke a couple of seconds ago. Negotiations continue between all parties involved. Kudus wants Spurs as an absolute priority, as reported over the weekend.
So
as he has a very personal term. Sorry, Johnny, carry on, mate.
Yeah, no, look, Robert, right. Johnny, lower goal contributions, right? Robert, great. Okay. Take on is great. What we after as a club is end product, right? I'm not saying he's not going to go on and produce better end product when he's with a hands-on coach like Thomas Frank. But when you have the most successful take-ons, it tells you something, right? When you've only got 3 assists. 3 assists from an attacking player playing on the flank, cutting inside or playing as a 10, right, is poor. Those are the sort of numbers that you expect to see from a back, right? Now, I'm not saying that he won't become a good player. What I'm saying is to say that we're being cheapskates, like some people are saying, is absolute nonsense. We're paying 60 odd million for this player. And when I look at players that are available, like Kolo Muani for 50 million euros, right? I see value in Kolo Muani at 50 million euros. Yes, he turned down Spurs, but you know, it wasn't 5 minutes ago that everyone was like twerking and excited about getting Eze. As soon as Eze was said, oh, well, you know, he might be going to Arsenal, all of a sudden Eze's a pile of crap and we need to be going for Mohamed Kudus, and Kudus was always the one. Come on, guys, be honest with yourselves, right? Okay, you know, Eze was the one you all wanted all of last season, right? Coming into the close season, when we got into the Champions League, that was the player you wanted. He's not happening. Fair enough. He's going to Arsenal. But don't, you know, just come out and just say, you know, oh, you know, well, we're being cheap because we're not paying the 60 million. I think, you know, we're a club that's made mistakes spending the money. You know, Richalison hasn't been a success for his 60 million, and Dombele wasn't a success for that sort of money. Lo Celso wasn't a success for big money. And all I'm saying to you is that, you know, having a little bit of caution and not being dragged and bent over backwards, right, and given one up the backside, right, and being prudent isn't a bad thing. I'm no Levy fan, right? But there are times with certain players where I think, well, do you know what? Is it really worth it? West Ham are going to try and eke every single penny out of us that they can. You know, we've seen the stories. I don't know if you guys have seen them, that West Ham United need to find £40 million from a loan that they took out that expires. Is it July the 11th? Sure.
No, end of the month.
End of the month, right? End of the month, right? They have to find the £40 million, so they need to sign it. I don't mind, in this case, Spurs playing hardball. Personally, I would sign Kolo Muani over Kudus any day of the week. And, you know, speaking to West Ham fans, and this was before this deal came through, because I thought, why is Kudus having a bad year? This was when we were at the West Ham game, watching the worst game of football I think I've ever seen, the away game against West Ham. I was asking West Ham fans, like, why is he's been shocking, right? He switches off, right? He can't be bothered to track back. He doesn't pick his head up. And I didn't think much more of it, but those conversations have now come back into my head. And I'm thinking, well, if he's not picking his head up, that might be the reason why he's got only three assists. And I think of someone like Adama Traore and his take-ons and how successful he was. But it's about end product. It's about end product. And Thomas Frank is the type of manager that can get a proper tune out of him. But as long as his head's in the right place, I'm fine for it. But I don't want to hear the club being lambasted for not getting the deal done yet, because a deal like this isn't a 2-bob deal.
I hear what you're saying, but part of me thinks we're only in for KUDUS because we can try and take advantage of a West Ham situation. You know,
but is that a bargain? But is that a bargain, David? Or how are we taking advantage? Taking advantage is paying 40 million, maybe.
But that's why the Johan Wiese links are out there today. It's classic. We're going to switch our target, hoping West Ham come clamoring back and calling us back into negotiations. Look, for me, the answer to Sean's question, you know, about how long negotiations take. For me, when I look at it, like, if you're Daniel Levy, of course you're going to make sure that the negotiations take long and, you know, you're going to get the right deal for you, because you don't really believe in the talent you're buying. You already know you're going in there that it's a gamble. That's why you're already going in there on the side of, you know, I need to try and get it my way and I need to insert this and I need to insert that and everything else. If it was a player where they truly believed in, they'd go in, they'd be happy to pay the money, you know, or at least, you know, try and get somewhere close to the valuation to a point where they can drop down 5-10 million. There you are, but you are happy. But that's why I think the negotiations take so long, because Tottenham are not buying a ready-made player a lot of the times. They're not buying the finished article. They're buying players with potential or that need a bit of development. So they're cautious with the money they're spending on these guys. If they were the real deal, they wouldn't take so long. When other clubs go and buy the real deal, it's done very, very quickly to a large degree. There's not a lot of pissing about, but at Tottenham Hotspur, a transfer can drag out for the whole fucking summer. It's a joke.
Can I just...
Is that fair, though?
Sorry, Sean, can I just add there? There was a comment there about him being played out of position. I've had this conversation with Sean before. Mohamed Kudus complained that he kept getting played on the left-hand side, right, and his best side is on the right. Yet, strange thing is, he scored 3 of his 5 goals on the left-hand side that he said he didn't want to play, and he only scored 1 or 2 goals playing on that right-hand side. I think 1 he scored as a 10. So, you know, I'm only speaking from facts. We know his take-on stats are superb. All I'm saying is, you know, it's not like we're buying him for 20, 30 million, and I could understand the uproar that we haven't done it. But it's a 60 million pound. And if this is our main signing of the season, is it that exciting, Dave? I don't know.
Oh, look, I like Kudus as a player. I think he offers that something we don't have. You know, someone that can get on the ball and do the unpredictable, you know. Last year, it was very mundane. Pass. You know, I'm sort of looking at him. A lot of us Spurs fans screaming at the game, someone just get on the ball and take on your man, excite me. And I think Kudus does bring that. Don't get me wrong. Could end up being maybe a difficult character to manage, but that sort of comes with that sort of player that you're buying. You know, the unpredictability, they all come with temperaments and stuff like that. It's just about having good people in and around them, and maybe someone like Romero in the dressing room to put him in his place every once in a while. But like with the Kudus thing, even if they do drag it out to the end of the month to try and get a favourable fee to them, you also got to take into account the players settling in. You know, getting up to speed with the tactics, getting pre-season in with the players, and all that sort of stuff. That's the stuff that you're neglecting when you're protracting these negotiations. Like the Dominic Solanke one last season, came in, wasn't really fit to hit the ground running, suffered an injury midway through the season, and struggled for large parts of the season to a large degree. And they're the mitigating circumstances that aren't taken into account when Tottenham are protracting these negotiations and dropping these players in. Well, you know, as soon as the Premier League season is about to start, it's not good enough.
How much do you think he's worth, Dave? I mean, I've seen people saying better to. I'm not saying, you're not listening to me, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying.
Sorry, let me ask you this though, just quickly, because I think that there's a few people in the comments that are suggesting this, and they suggested it on Football Link as well. Because I think it's a fair question to ask, because you seem to be a little bit more questioning of the player than most Tottenham fans. Is part of your
split?
Your is it because of Eze?
No.
Because you mentioned earlier, let's be honest, at the start of the window, everyone wanted Eze. Like, the fact that Tottenham aren't in for Eze is that on some level pissing you off about the fact that we're spending big money on Kudus when we could spend it on Eze?
No, 100% not. We should be buying both, if anything, right? But we're not spending the money. No, it's got nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing to do with that. Every signing's on its own merit. Right. You know, we had this conversation, right? Do I think Mathys Tel was worth 40 million euros? Not sure he was, to be brutally honest with you. Do I think Kolo Muani's worth 50 million euros? 100%, right? 90 odd million from Eintracht Frankfurt to PSG. He's gone to Juve. He's not going to do it there. He's absolutely smashed it. He's gone to the Club World Cup and done the business there as well. I'm just saying to you, I prefer...
So it's a price thing then? Because I agree with you that it's an opportunity cost. Whatever money you're putting into one pool, you're not putting into another, right? And so when you find out that Dusan Vlahovic is 15, 20 million quid, apparently, by all accounts, 25, 30 million euros, when you find out that Juve can't afford the money to confirm to make the permanent signing of Kolo Muani, and then you read other reports that are saying that PSG will accept half the money that they paid for Muani, which is 95 million. So they would accept something around 45 million, 50 million euros. Then you have the opportunity cost argument, right? Like, what is Kolo Muani better value to go and for Daniel Levy to go back to El Khalifi or whatever his name is and say, look, we're mates, right? We're mates. You know, apparently they're good buddies.
Yeah.
Is Kolo Muani a better fit, a better value, a better player? They're not that dissimilar. They're not the same type of player, but they're not dissimilar in terms of their overall value and their positional sense. Is there an argument to say that we shouldn't be overpaying more than 55 million quid for? Like, are West Ham asking for too much for?
Well, I think they are.
You can go in a different direction.
I think they are. Look, the thing is like I've said this many times before. I think it all depends. Look, if we had the hindsight as football fans to know what our budget is for this season, Dave, and we knew, we got 200 million or whatever to spend, 180 million, and we were spending 50, 60 here. Right, fine. But we don't want to find out down the line that once we've signed KUDUS, we got to sell players now before we can do any more business. We all know we want a 6. We all know we need a quality, competitive left centre back. We know about these things. All I'm saying is, it's fine. I don't have a problem per se with him. I just think this sort of uproar that we haven't done the deal yet. Look how long Arsenal have been, posturing themselves for Gyökeres and Sesko and, even the Eze deal, that's taken time. Why hasn't that deal progressed? Why hasn't that deal done yet? Even the Norgard deal, which was done and dusted, they still haven't signed the contract. It's still not official. Now, that's all down to contract stuff. And, there will be no doubt conditions, how they're going to play, how it's going to be paid up for this West Ham deal. West Ham might want of that. You don't know, and I don't know. West Ham might demand they need 40 million of it up front to meet their payment that they have to make by the end of the month. We don't know that. And that might not be possible for Spurs to make the 40 million up front. We saw with Eze, it's 20 over 3 windows. This might be less palatable because they want more money up front to get them out of trouble. We are on the outside looking into these things. So because we don't have the information, we have to guess and make our own narrative.
Dave, how about you, mate?
Look, I think now this window is panning out is exactly what Simon Jordan said coming, close to the end of the season that, Tottenham don't have a lot of cash flow, but, we're an asset-rich club, but all of our money's sort of tied up in assets and paying back historic transfer fees and loans and everything else. And look, some people are out there denying it, saying it's not true and stuff like that. But I think how this window is planned out exactly stinks of what Simon Jordan said. I think he was absolutely spot on. It's where this window is panning out. So, look, I would like to think there's at least 60, 70 million there off the bat to go and get at least one player, because that money was there for Mark Guetti last January. So why wouldn't it be there this summer to be able to go and get the player?
You think it was?
But they wouldn't have put the bid in, would they?
How serious?
It was definitely there. So anyone that's like Matt Law's putting out a spiel in January, and then he wanted to double down on that. And I get accused all the time. Like I said, oh, Sean, you got to be careful what you say because you're influencing people. Like I'm not. I'm a fan. We are fans. We don't know the ins and outs. But if you're talking about influence, then listen to the people that actually do have the inside track and why it is they say what they say. Question the narrative, the motivations of those that say what they say. And I think at times it can be because of agendas. At other times it can be because they don't want to be wrong on something that they said previously. And when Tottenham put in a £70 million bid, at the end of the day, it was an official bid. It was rejected. If it had been accepted, then Tottenham would have had to have put that money up, right? And that they didn't because it was rejected. And they may have known that Palace were going to reject it. But 70 million quid for a guy with 18 months left on his contract is not exactly unreasonable for a player that, in my opinion, is nowhere near the level of other people that get £70 million bids with 18 months left on their contract. And then on top of that, Tottenham go and win the Europa League, which writes off all of the kind of negativities of the merit money, and it also accesses you into 70, 80 million quid of future revenues into next season. So I'm with Dave in as much as like the money is there if you want to do it. Now the cash flow is a different thing. That's a different thing. We haven't got the money from the Champions League yet. So cash flow is money in the bank versus money that's coming in the future. And that's where I guess you might sort of end up walking into the world where we're never going to know, which is the intricacies of, as we spoke about this on Football Link, Johnny, a minute ago, like you've got one player Club A is trying to buy Club B. How much do they need up front? Well, how much of that is viable based on what else is happening in that club's business? And then also the clubs that are affecting those transfers. And then also the other side. So it becomes like a chain effect.
The club can go and get loans though, right? To be able to finance these transfers.
Yeah, but the loans are crazy expensive now. And what we were saying before is that if, say, for example, Dave, we have X amount of cash pool, right? And West Ham want that money up front, a large proportion of that up front. That might affect, for example, us doing a deal for a number 6, because that club want X amount up front and we won't have for that up front and that up front. It depends. Some will be happy to have the deal amortized over 5 years. We were talking about before Victor Osimhen going to Galatasaray. And that 75 million euro deal will be paid up over 5 years, right?
I understand that.
I'm not sure whether West Ham are playing massive hardball here and saying we want a ridiculous amount up front. We aren't privy to that. I'm just second guessing here. And, look, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying I'm mindful of Ndombele's, the Jadon Sancho's, the other players who, you pay a lot of money for and they haven't performed, or they started on their decline and not performing so well and continued on that downward slope. I'm not saying he is that player because he's still young enough, and I believe Thomas Frank is a very good coach to coach him back. I'm just thinking, there's a reason why this deal hasn't been rushed.
To be honest with you, I think it's because Spurs are well aware of West Ham needing money before the end of the month. And, I think Spurs are typical. Like, why did they go in for Gray last January?
And went in for
Gray last January because they tried to get ahead on the clubs that were going to be competing for them this summer. And they sniffed an opportunity. It's exactly why they're in for KUDUS. They wouldn't be anywhere near in for KUDUS if they weren't aware that West Ham needed money. So that's why we're in sniffing around. And
But Dave, right, I hear what you're saying. But if Spurs end up paying 65 million, how have they exploited West Ham's weakness? They played absolute top dollar.
I'm not sure they will end up spending 65. I don't think Tottenham do want to. I think the reason why they're protracting this is because they don't want to pay too much more over the 40 million that West Ham need to be able to have that wiggle room. If the Spurs were comfortable with paying the 65 million, they would have paid it by now, had him in pre-season training, had the fans wetting their lips, selling out the jerseys in the shop with his name on it, which will increase season ticket sales and everything else, because it would be what fans would say is a marquee signing. So,
do you think he's marquee? He's
marquee is what we're. Do you know what I was saying? I think I was speaking to this with Sean yesterday, or it might have been with Jack on his own. But I was saying, like, You know, with Tottenham Hotspur, we don't ever really deliver a marquee signing. But what we do is we sign a load of average players, and then we deliver someone like a Dom Solanke, and all of a sudden it's made out to be a marquee signing. But if you put his name in the context of world football, it's not a marquee signing, is it?
Exactly.
You know?
I don't believe he's a marquee signing. I don't believe we've had a marquee signing, stand up and wow signing since Rafa van der Vaart. You know, it's time. You know, when Daniel Levy is making statements about ambition to win Champions League and the Premier League, you know, Mohamed Kudus isn't that player. I'm sure he'll go on to become a very good player. Let's be honest, right? He's not 21; he's 25 years of age. So look, let's see what happens. But I
want to bring in some other variables here. We've got to talk about Heung Min. Stories out today that Tottenham are looking at from Sky Sports. We've got to talk about some other things as well in the back line. But just before we do, guys, I want to say there's about 750 people here. Love to see it. Thank you very much. Please do smash the like button. Smash the Bonnie Blue out of the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop the comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on whatever we're talking about. I'll be bringing your comments up. Also, just want to say a massive quick thank you to Dave Jones, become a new member of the show. Really appreciate you, Dave. Going to be doing a members phone-in show very soon. Same goes to you. Exertos. I think that's, I don't know how you say that. Exertos.
Sean, am I a member yet? Sean, am I a member yet?
No, you're not a member, mate. You're not a member.
I believe I'm not a member.
You know where the join button is? You know where the join button is, Johnny?
I'm missing out all the members' benefits.
Yeah. Here's one. Daniel Field, super chat. Thank you, Daniel. Hope you're okay, mate. Thank you very much, buddy. Good afternoon, Sean, Johnny, and Mr. Irish. What a panel. What a panel. Well, this is what we like to do on the Spurs Talk Show. The Devil's Advocate was last season's most popular show, in my opinion. For me, we absolutely love doing it together. But because of my shenanigans that were all going on, we had to put all that to bed, and we're going to try and bring it back as regularly as we can. And El Dente, member for 14 months, is saying, like, subscribe, and come on, you Spurs. Thanks all. Best wishes. What a mod he is. Thank you very much, El Dente. Really, really appreciate it. Guys, let's... I want to ask you guys about Heung Min, right? So we've already kind of covered it, but this guy's got 1 year left on his deal, and we have to sort of bring in some of the kind of external variables here. So Brentford, obviously, they've already lost Norgard. They've already lost Flecken. There's links. Rico Henry can't get his injury problems behind him. And there's links to, obviously, Heung Min. There's links to Mbeumo going to Manchester United. Tottenham obviously have given up on that goose to a degree. But Manchester United have also surpassed their own self-imposed deadline, which broke on Monday, where they said that if they hadn't heard anything or they weren't going to do anything, if there was no deal completed, they were going to move on to new targets, which in so doing, for what it's worth, like the ball was in their court. Like the last bid they put in got rejected. At the same time, Brentford have to be looking over their shoulder a little bit because, I mean, Johnny and I talk about this extensively on Football Inc. And by the way, get into Football Inc. if you like that sort of wider football topic. I'll drop the link in a second. The three teams that come up traditionally go down. There's very little risk of or jeopardy of relegation, but that's not the case this year, or I don't believe it will be the case. I think Johnny agrees with me. Yeah. Sunderland have spent 100 million quid already, and they brought in 5 players that immediately improve them. A couple of those players, by the way, are absolute ballers. Leeds United are trying to do their thing. They're about to sign Longstaff from Newcastle, which is such an incredibly sensible signing. And even Burnley are doing that. Even Burnley are doing their thing with the likes of Kyle Walker coming in, getting some stability in the back line. So you have to think if you're Brentford and you've lost your entire staff, basically your entire staff, new manager, they've got to bring in assistant managers, coaches, they've got to go through the whole rigmarole. Do they really want to lose any more of their top-tier talent? Otherwise, they might end up getting dragged into a relegation battle. And on that basis, Johnny, is there any chance, all that said, that if Tottenham are really interested in Heung Min, whether they can get 20, 25 million for him, Brentford, would they rather sell him or would they rather sell Mbeumo? They can't sell both, surely. Those two provided 45 goals for Brentford last season.
I think the fact that they paid £7 million for him in 2021, he's been amortised past the thing. I don't think it makes sense for them. I think they refuse to let him go. They let him run down his contract, and they try to negotiate an extension. So
if they're going to sell one, they'd sell Mbeumo.
I think they sell Mbeumo, keep Vissa, and try to negotiate with him to sign an extension. It doesn't make any sense for them. They're not losing anything by keeping him. As I said, it only cost him 7 million. So for me, it makes sense.
What if you can get 50 million quid, according to what Joshua's putting here?
I think he's not getting 50 million pounds. He's not getting 50 million pounds. That's
28 years of old.
29, mate. 29. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's not going for 50 million pounds. Paper talk, absolute toilet, right? Yeah. He can sign a pre-contract in January. He's not going to sign, right? Listen, no chance. If they want to do a deal and they've got someone to replace him and they want to pay 20 million, maybe 20 million for a 29-year-old with 1 year left on his contract is more than fair. I believe when you take into account the whole package of deal and having to pay his wages, I can't see them letting him go. And if they do, they're going to have to replace both forwards. They've got Sade. He's not going to be able to do it on his own. They've got another player. Listen, Brentford have already scouted players. They'll be looking at bringing in players. But the contract expires next year, £7 million. It makes absolutely no sense. If you're going to let one asset run down, it's the one that only costs you £7 million. Sell Mbeumo, and there you go.
No, I don't disagree. Johnny, what's your thoughts, mate? Oh, sorry, Dave, what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, look, when it makes no sense that Brentford are going to sell Yohan Wissa. You sell him and Mbeumo, you're in a relegation battle. Yeah. Goals are the hardest thing to come by in the Premier League. They're the ones that put points on the board. And they know straight away they'll be in a relegation battle. You can't sell your main source of goals. That's like us over, 5 years ago, selling Harry Kane and then Son back to back. You just don't do that. That's a big no-no. Let alone the midfielder that's gone to Arsenal and their goalkeeper. That's your whole spine. That's straight away putting you in a relegation battle. And you've also lost your manager and a lot of your coaching team as well. So for me, I don't think this is a non-runner. I honestly think potentially, has it come from Spurs' side where it's like, look, put that out there, knee-jerk West Ham into getting us back to the negotiation table or coming back round to what sort of fee we want to pay. That's what I feel like this is being used for personally. I don't think we will. Look, there's no way we're paying 58 million or 50 million for a 28-year-old who knows how to score goals. That's not Tottenham's bag. We needed that when we sold Harry Kane and we went and signed younger players that don't know how to score goals. So we're definitely not going to be signing Yohan Wissa, for anything more than 25, 30 million. If we do get him, again, it's because there's an opportunity there. There's a year left on his contract and Spurs can get a cheap deal. But I do think this is being used to bring West Ham back down to where a bracket where we want to pay for KUDUS.
Can I just add to the people that are telling me I've got it all wrong and it's 2027? I had to go and check. I thought I was right. It's 2026, June 2026. He signed in August the 10th. There's
an option to extend though, right?
2021. And the last contract extension was May the 4th, 2023. It doesn't make any... no,
but there's a 1 year option to extend his contract. So,
not according to what's name it is, and not according to transfer market and the other side. Maybe that is, but according to this, it's June 30th, 2026. Look, he's 29, 3rd of September. He's worth 25, 30 million pounds. But what are they going to do? Can they replace him for that money? No, they'll have to pay 25, 30 million pounds.
They could go and get Dusan Vlahovic.
Sorry, it's on Brentford's website. When he signed his contract extension in 2023, there was an option of extending it for a year.
Okay, fair enough. Perfect. Originally, it was 2026.
Yeah, look, we're all just fans. We're working with what we see. We're not always going to get everything right all the time, but...
No, Johnny's right.
It's hilarious how many people in the comment section on any show that I'm on or any show that I watch,
if
one of the content creators says something that's even remotely inaccurate, I'm piling in.
Croc, I've gone on Croc.
No, but you're both.
You're 1.2% out, you bastard.
You are both right, though. Like, you know, Sean is right. Johnny is right. He has signed until 2026, and Brentford haven't took that option yet to extend the contract. But I'm presuming they're not worried about that and will do that just before the end of the window.
Yeah, 100%. So, look, I mean, would you... Let me sort of simplify this for you, because I've already recorded a video where I'm not going to give my take on this. I'm going to let these two battle out. For what it's worth, there is a video coming out this in about a couple of hours' time after the show, where I'll give my take on it. But in a nutshell, when you look at the situation as it currently stands, with regards what Tottenham are doing, how much money they're looking to do, with regards to the likes that Sonny has basically said that he wants to stay, he's essentially staying, you know, and therefore, you know, that's a spot in the squad taken up. With the likes of Richalison, that has, until now, has essentially been saying, I'm not leaving, I don't want to leave, so that might be problematic. Then you've got Solomon, etc., and you've got a few other players that you might be able to move on, but ultimately it becomes, you know, as much as the ambitions might be there to bring players in, even if the money is, you still have to move players on. And Johnny and I have spoken about this quite extensively on Football Link, that it's not a Tottenham problem. This is a problem around Europe at the moment, that a lot of the players that have got 1 year left on their contract seemingly are not willing to move on. Like Bissouma's an option.
They want the signing on fee.
They want the signing on fee of the freebie, but they want to go to Saudi money next summer. You've got Kanate, you have Gahey, you have Jadon Sancho, you have maybe in the likes of Tottenham, you've got potentially Sonny, potentially Bissouma. You have there's examples of this everywhere. They're everywhere across the Premier League. No one's with the 1 year left is really willing to move on. And so when you bake all that stuff in, and you bake the opportunities that are presenting themselves, if they're true, with regards of like the Vlahoviches, the Mwanis that are undervalued relative to their sort of potential or their level, and then you have likes of KUDUS and West Ham. Like, for me, I want to ask you guys where it is, how it is you would like to see Tottenham progress, given the opportunities that we're currently aware of. Obviously, just the last factor to bake in here, we on Tottenham on Spurs Talk Show have been talking a lot about Micky Tadzi as an example at Lyon, or Thiago Almada, who we thought that those people would have to be leaving because Lyon were going down to the Ligue 2. That's not happening anymore. Ligue 2, according to Romero, is going to stay in League 1, and therefore, you know, maybe Micky Tadzi is no longer available. Maybe some of the players that were looking to leave Lyon, you know, are not going to be leaving anymore. How would you like to see us pivot? Would you be interested in taking on for example, a Kolo Muani over a KUDUS if it turns out that West Ham are fucking us around and messing us around because they want to, like, you know, eventually just pick up the phone call to Todd Boehly? Do you want to see us go after a Dusan Vlahovic if you can move on someone like a Richarlison? Or do you see Richarlison actually having a bit of a reprieve in this new system where he might actually be able to prove value if he can stay fit? How do you guys see the current news, the current views, the current clues? How do you see that in your best intentions figuring itself out? Dave, I'll start with you on this one, mate. Just sorry to pick one. I'll start with you.
Look, when it comes to the likes of Richarlison and Bissoumas and players like that, why are we letting them dictate their future? You bring in players, World Cup year coming up, you use that to your advantage, and you saw there's no minutes here for you, so you don't want to play the World Cup, that's fine, stick around. You know, we can sit here and say, yeah, but the wages, you had no problem doing it with Danny Rose. Absolutely no problem playing that game with Danny Rose. So they can't do it when they want to do it. And for me, that's what we should do. We shouldn't be sitting here waiting around on someone like Richarlison. I like Richarlison, don't get me wrong. You know, I'll be okay to a degree. You know, I'm one of them. I'm all right to give him another year next year just to sort of see. But at the end of the day, he shouldn't be dictating what his future at Tottenham. We should be dictating that. You know, we should be saying there's no minutes here for you. Out you go. Bring in Dusan Vlahovic. All of a sudden, Richarlison come to the end of the window. He will change his mind. He'll buck up his ideas very, very quickly. You know, same with someone like Bissouma and stuff like that. So that's the way I see it. And again, I'm okay with bringing players in and loaning out some of the younger members of the squad. I don't see why we shouldn't be doing that. You know, some of them just aren't ready to give us what we need heading into next season in terms of consistency and stuff like that. So I'm okay with loaning some of the younger members of the squad out to develop and stuff like that. But look, for me, I'd like to see a couple of signings come in the door. And if players are pissing about going, as soon as they're number 6, 7, 8 down in the pecking order, mark my words, they'll be out here very quickly. And if they don't change their mind this summer, they'll change it next January.
By the way, Alan, for your information, why does Johnny look like he's sucking on a South Sweet, squinting away, looking in disgust? The sun is actually shining in my eyes. So there you go, mate. Because if I put my sunglasses on, you'd be going, what the hell's wrong with him, right? What do you think he is? Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, right? Okay, so the glasses...
I just called to say I love Johnny.
Right. Anyway, enough of that one. Now you know why I'm squinting. Sun's banging my eyes. Look, I take Kolo Muani all day long. I'm a huge fan of his. But, you know, yeah, he did turn down Spurs. I mean, it was a tough one. Come to Spurs who were struggling, or go to Juventus. Let me see. Yeah, tough one. I think Juventus would love to keep him. They want to keep him. But PSG are not really happy to them to have another year. They only paid 3.6 million euros for the loan fee. So what are they going to pay him? 7 million for a loan? The player's value is going to go down. So they would rather sell him. And I totally understand that. And I just think someone's going to come in and pay that 45 million euros. And as for
the we should be in though, Johnny. You know, clubs that are, you know, in situations where they need money for one reason or another, and they've got players then that they have to listen to offers for. That's the clubs we should be in for, because they've been around it. They know how to win things. They're around that culture. You know, they're the clubs we should be in and around, trying to take some of them. And then eventually, once you start getting them, it opens up the door to getting players making a decision. When I go to Juve, will I go to Tottenham? You know, I'll go to Tottenham. You know, so-and-so is there. That's the clubs we should be in at. Looking, not West Ham, not fucking Palace. I'm okay with one. Or
Burnley.
Or Burnley. Them big clubs is where we should be sniffing around and going, well, you know, you need money. We'll take him off your hands.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that we should be fishing at the top. Look, I feel like, you know, I'm walking along the high street and I'm looking through the window at Harrods, looking at all the beautiful things in the shop window. And then I look in my pocket, and the reality is I transport myself and I'm in the middle aisle at Lidl trying to find a bargain bucket offer. I just think that there is quality to be had. I remember Spurs fans turning their nose up when we signed Bentancur for 17 million. And, you know, we signed Kulu for 35 million and Destiny for 15 and Pape Matar Sarr. Who's this guy? Can't even get in the Mets team all the time. He's substitute. We paid 12 million, typical Spurs looking for cheap signings. We had the same with Vicario. Listen, you know, I believe that both those signings, whatever you may think of them, have stand us in now in a profit, a worse way, and have been valuable contributors to the team, especially, you know, in the final. I think there are good value players out there where you don't always need to be spending 50, 60 million pound on players to find players that will fit the system. We've seen Bournemouth do it with Huijsen and the defender who's gone to Liverpool, and you see Brighton do it all the time. I just think that, you know, what's that?
Have you seen this?
What's that?
Carlo Ancelotti has been sentenced to 1 year in jail.
I'll send that to you, but he's I think he's in Brazil now, isn't he?
Jesus Christ, you don't want to be there.
What's he done?
Oh, it's his Champions League bonus. I think it was to do with his bonuses. I saw that
Real Madrid manager has been sentenced to 12 months in jail after being found guilty of tax fraud in 2014 during his first spell with the Spanish Giants. The Brazil coach is accused of concealing income related to his image rights. The same case saw the Champions League winner acquitted of a separate fraud case. Fucking hell.
That's what
it's classic. We'll let you get out of the country, then we'll announce it.
Yeah, I said that's the one for tomorrow's Football Inc. show.
If you are in the chat, we'll save it for them. But Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Yeah, Sean, you need to drop a link in for the Football Inc. one.
Yeah, I'll do that. Boys, I want to ask you. Let's move the conversation towards the back end of the pitch for a minute.
Brennan Johnson territory.
No, he's on a different pitch, mate. He's on
that. When he goes that end of the pitch.
Backdoor
He's on an
Johnson.
equestrian. He's on an equestrian level pitch. He looks a little bit. I don't know. Shall I get the video up one more time? One more time. One more time. Where is he? Where is? Here he is. Here he is. We love a little Brennan Johnson gag. Nah, I love Brennan Johnson. Look, listen, back post Johnson. He gets the backdoor Johnson gets the goals. I want to move the conversation though a little bit further back towards the centre back spot. We've already signed Kota Sakai. Dave, you said at the start with you on this one because you mentioned you were so pissed off by the idea that we were moving fast on a player that kind of came out of nowhere. No one knows anything about him. I still don't know what we're doing with him. He's apparently joining the first team. Christian Romero. Apparently, Atletico Madrid is saying they're not paying 17 million. They ain't doing it. They're not doing it. But they've got 200 million quid for other interests.
Let's see the money.
Saying, well, I ain't doing you. I'm not doing it the way you want to do it, El Cholo. So, like rock and a hard place sort of situation for Romero. Lots of rumours come out. Lots of rumours. Lukumi's a player we've been looking at. Leone's a player we've been looking at. Vasily, well, a different position. But
Vinter.
Coney de Vinter, right? Who's a monster.
Player.
And then the biggest name of all of them, injury-prone galore. But if he can get through it, one of the best talents out of Italian football since probably Bastoni in Scalvini.
Yeah.
Tottenham are interested in all of them. But look, ultimately it comes down to how many defenders do you need? How many defenders do we already have? Are we playing a back three? Are we playing a back four? How much percentage of both, if either, are relevant? And where do we go with that one? Sorry, you know what? Sorry, I said Dave, I'll start with Dave. Dave, what we're doing in the back line. Johnny, I'll come to you next and I'll give you the first crack at the next question first. Sorry.
Yeah, look, when that link came out to the Burnley centre-back yesterday, I started laughing. I mean, we've got about eight centre-backs, if not 9, if you include Dante Casanova there as well. So, I mean, anyone that's linking us to a centre-back, to be honest with you, I think are guilty of printing rumours just to keep the money machine moving in the transfer window and getting the clicks and everything else. I've seen, apparently Newcastle going, interested in Johan Wiese. They're not aware they just signed Anthony Elanga there yesterday. Do you know what I mean? It's just never going to happen. They're not going to go after Wiese as well. And I always make this claim that I think, with the transfer market, it's becoming to such a money spinning revenue for people and stuff like that, it's getting to the point where some people just haven't a fucking clue what's going on and they're printing rumours left, right and centre. Look, there's no way we can be in for another centre-back. I don't think Tottenham, even if Atletico do come in, are going to accept a bid for him this season. I think it'd be next season if they do. You've also got Van de Ven sitting there. You've got Danzo sitting there. Now, Radu Dragosin has an ACL injury that he's coming back for. He might not be ready for the start of the season. So that opens up a spot for Fiskovic, Dorrington, Takai or Phillips. But I would argue I would potentially keep 2 of them around just because with Romero and Van de Ven's injury record as well. So for me, and there's a possibility for us to be able to keep 6 centre-backs at this football club because Koto Takai, Fiskovic, Dorrington, they don't have to be registered in the Premier League squad. So you can keep them around if that's what you want to do. So for me, I would, and then you've also got Dante Casanova, who was given a new contract, and it doesn't look like there's a pathway for him coming through either. So for me, we've got about 8 or 9 centre-backs there. There's just no possible way we can be in the market for another centre-back. If we are, then what's Thomas Frank planning to do? Park the bus? How fans going to take that? You may as well, you'd be cheaper to buy the bus driver and his bus than going out and sign another centre-back. Honestly, we can't keep, we're sitting here worried about freeing up positions to get signings in, and we're stocking up centre-backs like there's no tomorrow. I'm pretty sure Johnny will get a call tomorrow to be 10th choice. It's getting beyond a joke. There's no way we can be in the market for another centre-back. I can understand being in the market for another left-sided full-back. That's the only other area across that back line we should be in the market for. The rest of it's pretty stocked with good players. I think Thomas Frank will come in and bring a defensive structure, make them solid round defensive set pieces. And I think they'll actually go on to prove and show that they were better than maybe what they were under Ange Postecoglou. But the only thing we need is another left-footed left back. That's it. If we're going for another centre-back, I'm going to lose my mind. And I don't want any
even if you sell Romero.
Any excuses coming out the transfer window. We couldn't sign a striker because of homegrown players and non-homegrown players. Bollocks. If you're bringing in people if you're bringing in defender after defender after defender, I don't want to hear it.
Listen, I said to Sean, right, the end of May.
Sorry, Johnny, just super quick. Just want to get Dave's clarification on this. Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that regardless of if you sell Romero?
No, if we sell Romero, then, you know, potentially I think the club might go and visit and bring in someone else. But I don't think we are selling Romero this summer.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. I was going to say to you, if you remember what I said to you when I was told that the two important signings, the priority signings, were a right winger and a centre back. I told you that at the end of May. And whether or not Takata was that centre back, I don't know. But all I was told was right winger and centre back. I've said it is not after the
you said it for ages. Yeah,
I said it for ages. Those were the priorities. Now I'm not sure whether Takata was that centre back that they were talking about, and I'm not 100% sure.
Sorry,
Takata is his name.
Sounds like a dessert.
Kota Takai.
Takai. Fucking.
I love it.
He's 6'4", by the way.
He's 6'4".
Wee! It's done.
There you go.
It's a done deal, boys and girls. Let's get the thing up.
Come on.
Come on.
In the region of 55 million.
Share this tab. That's
55 million.
People. We got it going on.
6-year contract.
You know.
That's commitment.
He's going to be as old as me by the time he leaves.
So David ORNSTEIN, Tottenham have reached total agreement with West Ham United to sign Mohamed Kudus, deal for 24-year-old West Ham forward, worth in the region of 55 million. Medical scheduled for on Thursday ahead of the Ghana international joining Tottenham Hotspur on a 6-year contract.
What are we thinking, lads? Is that good?
Of course it's good.
Johnny, it's not the 60 million. Are you happy now it's 55?
Yeah, I think as I said to you before, I don't think we should be paying the money that they were quoting, and I think that number is more than fair. Do you not?
No, I think it's a.
It depends on however many years that the contract's going to be paid
6
over.
years. 6 years.
Yeah, no. If it's amortised over the 6 years, then that's the deal. Now, will West Ham fans follow through with their threat to boycott the club and go on a march against the club? That would be funny, wouldn't it?
I like Kudus. Changing me up here. This is absolutely insane. Got to change the name of the show. We got him done. Come on, guys. This is a cracking bit of news. It's July the 9th. It changes everything. Surely the fan base
not
now
everything.
Does it change everything, Johnny? Dave?
No, not everything. There's still bits and pieces that we need to do, but I think it's a step in the right direction, you know. Sort of alleviating my fears that we're getting players of a certain caliber in the door. I do think Mohamed Kudus is one that walks straight into that first 11. You know, I really like him. Like I said earlier on, he's got that something we don't have. Someone that has that unpredictability factor, that can pick up the ball and produce something out of nothing. Players that I'd argue Tottenham have always had for the majority of my lifetime. That sort of maverick player. You know, and I do like liking Kudus to that player. And also, in general, I don't think he actually gets enough credit for the amount of chaos he creates, and that people benefit off the back of that with goals and assists. You know, it's a bit like Darwin Núñez at Liverpool, creates a lot of chaos, and people go, why did Liverpool keep playing? And they keep playing them because they broke it down into how much people actually benefit off him in terms of their own output, others in the team with goals and assists due to the chaos he creates. And I do think that Kudus is one of them players. So, yeah, I'm happy with the signing.
Dave, how you feeling, mate? Oh, sorry, Johnny, how you feeling, mate?
I'm feeling all right. I'm just sorry. I'm feeling all right.
You're putting a tweet out, aren't you?
Well, how can you not?
When Johnny disappears, he goes to put a tweet out. I don't know exactly what Johnny's up to.
How can I not, mate?
Of course, mate. Of course. Listen, what are we doing here, mate? Look, now that that's done, does that mean? I wanted a part. We'll come back to We'll come back to the back line. But does that mean that are we done now at the forward end of the pitch? What does this mean? If Sonny's staying and Kudus is done, can we expect anybody else at the front end absent some major sales?
It really depends, I think, on where they see Kudus playing, because I'd make the argument. I think he's better breaking out from the midfield through the middle rather than out wide. It depends on what position they bought him for. Did they buy him for right wing? Well, if that's the case, then maybe you could look at maybe Solomon being sold or someone else being moved on in that regard, or one or two of the youngsters maybe around going out on loan. But it really all depends sort of what position they brought him in for, Sean, because he is a player that is versatile. You know, he can play off the right, he can play off the left, he can play, you know, as sort of that midfielder breaking out of midfield. So it's really interesting to see, you know, who he's going to replace in this team.
Would you be on board or even contemplate the idea that Tottenham, can you envision any scenario where another right winger leaves the club? Or like if Solomon, let's hope this, for me, Solomon has to go. He has to now. He has to now because you've got a better take on specialist than him. What's that?
Now we've got KUDUS in, he can go now.
Now he can go. But then if you want to bring someone else in, and if you're using KUDUS primarily as a right winger, yes, he's versatile, but if he's the starting guy on the right and Sonny is staying and Mathys Tel has been signed, Decky and Maddison can't be sold because they're both injured, but they'll hopefully be back in the not too distant future, is the only other chance for a forward to come in if Richalison and Solomon leave, and then you make space for a striker.
Again, it all depends what position Thomas Frank sees Mathys Tel. Does he see him as a guy that plays down the middle, or does he see him a guy that plays down off the left-hand side? It's good being versatile, but at the end of the day, your player should have his primary position. But I just think it speaks volumes if he can step in another position and do well. But look, it really does depend on where, basically where he sees Mathys Tel playing. You know, part of me thinks, you know, as Mathys Tel being brought in so that they frees up Richalison to go when a bid comes. I really don't know. If it is the case that Mathys Tel is off the left-hand side, then you're probably looking at Udogie probably potentially being pushed out on loan then.
Well, so yeah, that's the question though, because I really liked I really liked Udogie at Burnley. I never got the chance to talk about Udogie because I was disappeared dealing with shenanigans when he signed. And so I never got the chance to really get on board it. And then by the time I came back, he was injured. So for me, he's like a new signing. But I don't think that Udogie should be written off. I don't think that Udogie should be in any way just sort of sent out on loan. If you are going to send him out on loan, like if you're going to send out a 35 million pound player on loan, you could make the same argument for sending out Mathys Tel on loan, could you not?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. Look, this is what I'm saying. I'm not averse to sending some of these guys out on loan. At the end of the day, they're not ready to produce what we need. We learned that last season. They do have to develop. And, you know, if we're relying on them to produce consistent output, well, then there's no wonder why you take a hit in results if they're not at that level. So there is a case where, you know, you should be okay to loaning out Udogie and Tel. You know, if they were players that were signed for the future, there was always going to be that case where, you know, they might end up having to go out on loan.
Johnny, how you feeling, mate? You back?
Yeah, no, I'm back. I'm just thinking to myself, you know, who's vulnerable? Is it Backdoor Johnson? Is it Udogie? I think the one thing that we haven't really looked at is the fact that for Ghana, he plays as a 10. I meant to talk about this when we were on Football Inc. the other day. And I think it's something to bear in mind that should there be an injury, but I don't see him as the type of 10 that creates a creative 10. Because if he was that creative player, then I think we'd see more assists. I think Thomas Frank is going to work on him. I mean, if you saw what Brennan Johnson was like 18 months ago, even got himself into the positions. Final ball wasn't always great. This is a guy who he will work on. Same with Mathys Tel. And if you look at Mathys Tel on one side and KUDUS on the other, I think that's quite exciting. The one thing that Brennan Johnson doesn't go, which is infuriating, is he doesn't go past his man. He checks back all the time, and it's infuriating. You're not going to see that with KUDUS. He just needs to look. If he picks his head up and he finesses the finish, which is what Thomas Frank will do with him, with Cochrane, then you've got a player. My concern before was that we were held ransom, Dave, and we would end up paying 65 million plus.
Yeah.
And I think 55 million, Sean and I have said anything under 60 million right now for a creative player is reasonable. Crazy to say.
I think he hits a sweet spot for me. He's 24. He's got experience. He can sort of come in and ready to hit the ground running, but there's also potential for him to develop to be even better. I actually think it's a sort of that signing actually hits the sweet spot and will appease most fans.
He's really stretched out the amortization, though. 6 years, maximum amortization. You got to think that there's it's a 6-year deal for KUDUS. That's a massive contract for a guy that's got. There is a question mark around his personality, right, Dave?
To be honest, I haven't really done too much digging into it, to be honest with you. But I know Spurs, for me, look, with a guy like that, it comes with an ego. I'm sorry, it's part and parcel of it. And the reason why is because they've always been treated as that special guy. The youth teams coming all the way through because of the sort of ability they possess. So I think it comes hand in hand. I think any good football manager knows to a certain degree that, with a player that's a bit of a maverick that produces stuff off the cuff, there is a bit of an ego about the guy, and that you have to manage that. And look, to be honest with you, I'd be very surprised if Thomas Frank signed off on it if he was a dickhead, because he said on the High Performance podcast he doesn't do dickheads. So I'd like to think that it's maybe like one of them where he could rub a couple of people up the wrong way in the dressing room, or
he's already got history in the last season, wasn't it? Last season he had a fight with Micky van der Ven. But you know what?
I don't mind that. That shows passion on the pitch. I don't mind
exactly.
that. That shows passion. He understands a derby game. I don't read too much into that at all. In fact, I would wish more of our players. That's why I love Romero, because at any minute he's just going to explode and start something with someone. Especially in derby games and stuff like that. I love that. And for me, I have no problem with KUDUS roughing up a few Tottenham players. Yeah, bring him in and let's start seeing him do it to others.
I can't wait to see the first day of training. I think what they do, take them into the toilets, give them a good old beating, come out a bit smashed up, shake hands. Right, guys, that's it. We're all done now. Maybe take him in the toilets, shove his head down the bog. That's, the old ritual. Instead of singing a song, and they can get on with it. Look, I like a player that shithousery, but you got to be smart with it. I mean, let's be honest, head gone. And we also had the head gone with Locatelli when he lost the shit, when he was substituted for not doing as he was told and not performing. And he didn't go very well. That you can't be doing that this season. And it's interesting because I wonder whether Thomas Frank has had the conversation with him. I'd be surprised if he didn't, because he has a no dickhead policy. So whether or not, he said to him, look, boss, I know I did behave like a dickhead at that moment. He did say he lost his head. You just can't do that. You're playing in the Champions League or a big game. You can't be doing that shit. That's Bissouma levels. That's Bissouma. The good news is for us that Ghana are not in the African nations this January, because we'll be losing Pape Matar Sarr. That's why we need to get rid of Bissouma, because he will be going. So that's good news that they're not taking part in it this year.
Also, to add to that, if I'm correct, I think he's only missed 4 games over the last 2 years with injury. With our injury record, about players that went out injured last year, that's a huge plus.
Dave,
I know you're going to say Solanke.
Dave, you just killed it, mate. He'll be killed. He'll be injured in training. Day 2.
I know people will bring up Solanke. He had a good injury record before Tottenham and stuff like that. But with Solanke, he didn't have a preseason and went straight into the season. With KUDUS, now he's going to be here for the majority of preseason. He's going to be here for the tour and stuff like that. So you would hope it leaves him less susceptible to injuries and stuff like that. So, with KUDUS, the fact that he's available a lot is good.
Do you think, just quickly, before we move on, do you think that there's any, is Ornstein the guy now? Is Ornstein ahead of Romero in the terms of the pecking order?
Was it Romero that put out that Burnley link yesterday to the centre back?
What Burnley link to what centre back?
To that guy Maxime Stevie.
No, I think
put that one out.
Oh, Ornstein, did Ornstein put it out? Because I know Romano.
No, I thought that was Romano that put it out.
And
then Paul O'Keefe rubbished it. So on that basis, Ornstein is now the go-to.
Listen, like, there's no surprise in this one. This has just been going on and on and on. It was all about the fee.
Johnny, just like when me and you were when Ange got sacked, and I was having my dinner and you were on the shit. Remember?
Yeah.
First. Quick, Johnny, wipe your ass. Let's get back on the stream.
I was literally having a major passing through moment when I said, look, we always knew it was going. He was going as well. I knew this deal was going to get done. It was just when. I just didn't want it to get done with 65 plus add-ons. I still need to see whether it's 55 plus add-ons, Dave.
Yeah, but if it's 55 plus like add-ons, like what Daniel Levy's obviously like gone, okay, you know what, I'll give you 10 million, but it's on reasonable add-ons. So be it. 55 million.
But as long
this is the question now, though, right?
Yeah, well, look, if it's 55 million plus an extra 5 if we win the Davis Cup or we win the Derby, then fine. Yeah, but if it's like, to score 10 goals in a season or 20 goals in a season, that's more attainable.
Well, what about this, though? How about this? If it's so Mohamed Kudus has had more successful take-ons in the last 2 seasons than any other Premier League player. He's had 276 take-ons. Let me get this up. I think it's 276, right? Graham Bailey saying Tottenham up their cash bid to £55 million, all agreed in the last hour, with David Sullivan agreeing to the sale with counterpart Daniel Levy. West Ham need money to reinvest. Kudus made it clear he wanted the Tottenham move. Kudus didn't want to negotiate with any other club, says Romano. It's basically done. So I want to just quickly do some super chats, guys, and then I want to ask you guys where we go next, because this is the first of many. Like, it has to be the first of several, not many, but several. So now that we've got one big bomber out the way, I want to ask you guys whether now it's the time to start moving players on, or do we take the approach that Dave suggested, which is you just bring the boys in, and that in and of itself can be the leverage that you need to tell the players that are putting their heels in the sand that, well, look, you can stay if you want. But before we get to that, I want to give you guys a chance to think about your answers. I wanted to get a couple of super chats out of the way. Stewie Boy, this was from a while ago, mate, so I'm not holding you account for this one because this was before the bomber dropped. He says, Wet Spam are asking too much for Kudus. They want the same as Eze or Mbumo, but his last season was poor compared to theirs. We should walk away. I'm not going to hold it against you, mate, because that's not the case anymore. But it took me a while to get through to this, mate. But thank you very much, Stewie Boy, for your super chat. Callum Roche has just said in the last 5 minutes, any good West Ham channels to watch The Meltdown?
No, just to say, we did get 17 million for Pierre Horbier, so that's 55 minus 17, therefore not so bad.
Yeah, but didn't we pay about 20 million for the compensation on the entire Brentford backroom staff?
Yeah, but don't cloud stuff, Sean.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't cloud stuff with facts or the Mathys Tel money. I bet we didn't
appreciate you, Callum.
Money, remember, because we were owed money from Harry Kane, so that didn't cost us anything. They didn't. They owed us money, so that's sort of a trade.
It still cost us money, though, right? Because they didn't pay us for that. They paid us. Well, exactly. We'll ignore the detail. Another way that Johnny's taken the slide dig from Alan a minute ago, and now he's left his sunglasses on, and now Johnny's added some chewing gum to the mix. He's now playing super cool villain. We love that.
I'm going to have a digestive. If I had the mild cigar from Hamlet, I'd put one of those up now and I'd lay back and I'd light a cigar.
I'd love a fucking cigar right now. That'd be sensational. Cat Funt is saying, big up, lads, and welcome Mohamed Kudus. What's the song going to be? Is it going to be Moo?
Did you not see Mohammed, the Black Superman? Was that?
Sensational stuff. Blaine's in the house. Big up, Blaine. Good to see you, mate. Always great to see you, especially when the colour's yellow, mate. I love you to pieces, buddy. Thank you so much. He says, Kudus. Danny Rose said, who this?
Who be that?
Levy tried to take the piss, but Kudus. Danny Rose said, who this? Levy tried to take the... I'm trying to figure out what the song is here, but we've got bloody Kudus. That's it. That must be it. That must be the song. Is that a song? What's that? We've got...
Kudus. Danny Rose said, who's this? Levy tried to take the piss, but we've got bloody Kudus. It's in that one.
Yeah, that's nice. Listen, Super Blaine, Super Spurs, Super Blaine. You know what happens on this channel when you throw, or on Football Inc., when you throw in a super chat that becomes a song? Ali Gold references it on his Sunday night roundup, mate. You know how it works, buddy. People are watching. Kulu's elusive right foot. But you have to change that to Kudus's elusive bad egg. I haven't seen a trio this good since Banana Rama. Thank you very much, Kulu's right foot gate. I appreciate you, buddy. I just wanted to quickly ask you, actually, before I move into that kind of where do we go next? Did anyone see Johan Langer's commentary on?
Oh my god!
It's
so gooey.
Who is it? Who am I thinking of? What's the player's name?
Yeah, Lucas Berghvall, mate.
Berghvall. Jesus,
yeah, it was cringe. It was
gooey. He's just out of the shell. And he's all gooey.
He's all covered in gooey. He's all covered in gooey stuff. I mean, who says that? I mean, we got an analogy of a player. Yeah, he's broken out of his shell and he's really moving on, but not Johan Lang, right? I mean, honestly, he's just come out of his shell and he's still covered in all sticky, gooey stuff.
Weird. Absolutely insane. Listen, Dave, I want to ask you, mate, where do we go next? Do we now pivot to is it time for the Paratici, the Don? You and Johnny's boy, the Don, is it time for him to start his plate spinning, tail wagging, all-encompassing guru that he is to go and get us a couple of bombers from Juve?
Yeah, look, I think
Douglas Luiz. Do we go and get,
Look, we've got to drag this squad to a certain level. Last thing we want to do is be embarrassed in the Champions League. We're all worried about PSG coming up, what they're going to do to us. We seen when we came up against Liverpool last year in the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg, they popped us off the park. No one wants to see that again in the Champions League. So for me, I think we've got to use Kudus now, and we've got to double down and bring in another 2 or 3 signings. For me, if you can, I still wouldn't be averse to going and getting another winger of a certain quality. Obviously, we need another CDM in the squad, and then a fullback at left back. And if we can address them with quality, then I'm happy. For me, it's just about what I don't want is going into another season where we're not addressing all the problems in the squad, because you're giving Thomas Frank. You're making his job already hard from the outset before he's even got going. He's already going to have to pivot at some point before he's even got going. So for me, it's just about filling the holes and give us Thomas Frank the best opportunity, to be able to go and succeed next season, to be able to go and compete. That's why they made the managerial change, because they didn't believe Postecoglou could kick on with this squad and compete. So that's why they brought in Frank. So it's about filling out the squad now and giving him that opportunity. And hopefully he can be the first manager in a long time to have that, because we don't need to do a lot of business. We just needed 3 or 4 signings. So if we can bring them in the right positions, then I'm happy. At the end of the day, I've been consistent this summer. I just want to use that Europa League to kick on, to go and compete. I don't have time. I'm getting old. I'm getting fat. I'm getting grey. I don't have time to sit around here for project after project after project after project.
You got issues, mate. What about me?
No, look, Johnny, it's getting to the point you're starting to look younger than me, lad, to be honest with you. But look, I just want to kick on at some point. We can't keep going through this rebuild. And the good thing about Frank is he said he's coming in to build off the back of what we done last year. So it's one thing saying that a manager will have that ambition. We've seen with Postecoglou. But it's another thing the club backing him with signings. So Kudus is the first one in the door. It's not a bad one to sort of bring in.
The next one? Who's the next one, signing. Who do you want to see come in next?
Well. You know what? I'd love us now that it looks like Arsenal going from Madueke. I'd love us to pivot and go and get Eze and bring him in, double down.
Listen,
we know the price, right? It's 60 million over 3.
Hey, I put out a video 3 days ago saying, "Don't write off the double bomber. Don't write it off." And I had, of the 300 comments that came in, at least 80 of them. I'm not even joking. I can bring them up. They were all going Butler. You become so clickbait, you're a disgrace. We're not getting either of them. This is Daniel Levy. The usual shit, the usual trap, the usual bollocks. I said, we're not. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen, but now I can't wait. If we go and get Eze, I'm going to pull up all
Eze and Buemo,
all of those receipts.
Visa, Firmino, any of them. You know, just double down and bring in another one off the back of it, and then go and get your CDM and your left back, and we're set. We're good to go.
Listen, we paid £47 million for Brennan Backdoor Johnson, and I think 55 is reasonable. I was just worried that we were going to be dragged over. I think a lot of people are dismissing Mathys Tel on that left-hand side. I really do. I think that he can definitely see he can do a Brian and Buemo on both of these players, and having both a serious attacking threat on the left and right-hand side. And I think it's Brennan Johnson who's going to have to step up now and produce, unless he tries to move him into the middle of the park. You can imagine with Kulu out injured and Maddison not really at the races at the moment, that KUDUS might be starting as a 10. We don't know yet, but he would have had a conversation with him. There's no way that the manager hasn't spoken to him and told him what his plan was. Thomas Frank is a fantastic coach. That's what this club has missed for a long, long time, a hands-on, on the training ground coach. And I'm quite excited by what he's going to offer whoever we sign, to be truthful.
Sky Sports, Tottenham remain interested in Yohan Visa even after agreeing a deal from Mohamed Kudus.
Oh, this is what I'm talking about, boys. This is what I'm talking about. Everyone was writing us off. Everybody was writing us off. We're coming back. It's like that Rocky. We are back in the game, Johnny.
Oh, I hope you got those adult diapers on, mate. I'm worried you're going to wet yourself.
Mate, if we sign this, Yohan Visa, I think he's an improvement, a massive improvement on Richalison. No disrespect to Richalison, but he's a massive improvement on him for me. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I don't think we can go and get. I don't think you're going to get in Bumo. I think what I'd love to see right now is that Tottenham do the 5 for over Manchester United, right? The 6 for even 3 games in the Premier League, 1 in the Europa League. Then we smash them up in court for the Ineos deal that they still owe us money for. And then on top of that, we go and get Visa, and then Mbumo has to stay at Brentford for another year.
Do you think Daniel Levy can also supply the roofing company? Do you think Daniel Levy can also supply the roofing company, for the stadium as well?
Yeah, listen, look, for all we know, and I've said this before, the money might already be incoming for the inward investment, but they're not going to announce it until after the window's closed for obvious reasons. I did say
it might already be here.
It might already be here.
Or we could have spent the money we had for Guehi last January.
Or the thing is as well, I think the board would have certainly be looking at what Arsenal are doing. They're buying Gyökeres. They've just bought Zubamendi, 50 million, Gyökeres, probably 70 million, Noni, 30, 40 million, Eze, 60 million. They've signed Kepa for 5 million. They've signed Norgard for 10 million plus extras, and they're looking at Mascara for around 20 million. They're spending. They're really going for it. And I think the Spurs board would have seen the fact that unless we start moving now, we're going to have restless natives. Listen, it's a start. One swallow don't make a summer, right, Sean? But hopefully...
Unless you're Bonnie Blue. Unless you're Bonnie Blue, so we're the new sponsor of the show.
It's a start.
David, just quickly, guys, David, and you got to jump off, mate. Johnny, have you still got 15 minutes in you, mate?
I've got another probably 10 minutes, mate, max. Okay. Yeah,
Dave, I'll let you go, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. Guys, please do subscribe to the Irish Hotspur. His link is pinned in the top of the chat. Please thank it. Say goodbye to Dave. He's thanks for coming on, Dave. Appreciate you, mate.
Do you know what?
Look at the face now. Look at the face now. Let's do a snapshot of Dave's face when he came on, feeling a bit down in the dumps. And now look at him, mate.
You know what it is, lad, right? I was just getting irked and more irked the day it went on. Every day things were going on without a signing, and now that we've got one, let's see how quickly we can bring in another one. I'm back behind it now, buzzing again. European champions, Arsenal. You'll never sing that, guys. See you soon. Have a good afternoon. It's a Wednesday.
Cheers, mate. Take care, mate.
Mohammed fucking KUDUS, baby.
Come
See you soon.
Wednesday bomber.
Cheers, Dave. Love you, mate. Love you. Cheers, buddy. Before I crack on, Johnny, we got more to talk about. By the way, I want to get back to that defensive line. I want to talk about these things as well. And you've only got a few minutes, Johnny, as well. But listen, if I've got to go by myself, I will. If I've got to put out the StreamYard link, I will. We're not going anywhere on the Spurs Talk Show, so you stay strapped in, people. We've got a few more super chats. We got this one from Chankle. Good to see you, Chankle. I've got a Chankle. No, I've got a Fankle, a fat ankle. Let's where am I? Where am I on the list here? Here we go. He says Langer writing Berghvall / fiction on Tumblr.
Embarrassing.
100%. There's something weird about that one. 100%. Nick Lazy 8, my man, member for 36 months. What a tenure you've had, buddy. Love you, bud. I think the club is waiting to see if Mbeumo stays. If he does, then we go for Vissa and Richie leaves. Gives time for Frank to look at Richie. What's your thoughts on that one, Johnny?
I think he's going to look at Richie anyway. I think that he's his type of player, to be truthful with you. Look, they can add. There's nothing wrong with having 3 strikers, right? Nothing wrong at all when you consider we're going to be playing in the Champions League. We want to do well in the Premier League. We want to make an assault on everything. We don't want to be knocked out of everything. We don't want a situation like last year where we couldn't field a top back 4 or we couldn't field our strike force. We can't have that again. Strength in depth hasn't stopped Arsenal, has it? Buying. Look at their midfield. Look at their defence. And look at their attack now. So there's nothing wrong with us increasing the depth. I think we can.
How much have we improved our attack by signing KUDUS, by the way?
Well, as far as take-on's concerned, massively.
We've now got a take-on guy on the left and a take-on guy on the right, correct?
Yes.
It makes us less predictable, mate. Last season, we spent the whole time going down the left-hand side.
But both of those players need to massively up their end product game, right? That's it. 100%. Guys, I mean, honestly, Daniel's just splashed the cash, right? And only 300 of you have splashed the like button.
Yeah, John the Thumb, people. It's free to do. This number should be at 600 immediately. Like 600. We just signed a player live on stream, a monster. Possibly. I mean, listen, I don't know if I'm that happy, mate. If I'm entirely honest, I've been saying about people in the YouTube community that you would have been probably happier if Semenyo had cost 75 million than if he cost 55 because there's value attached to price tags. But so I'm actually on the same time a little bit now salty because if we do get him under 60 or 65, which it looks like we have, then he doesn't quite tick that box of new club's highest earner or new club's highest transfer. So I'm still in the mud. And now I think that's going to be a problem for me.
We'll see. Sure. I'd rather be in there spending, buy 4 players. Listen, guys, if you get time after the show, pop onto my Instagram and hit my BOMBA post. That would be very, very nice. Get that going. And
you can see that. You can see that. There's Johnny's name. Wait, where it is? 1 second. There it is. Talking Tottenham 1882. By the way, also, guys, if you do like football on a bigger front, then Johnny and I have got a channel. It's doing super well. There's like 500-600 people every single day that driving into it, and there's only 2,500 people, give or take, that have subscribed. It's a brand new channel, but it's flying out of the traps, and you can find the link to it, Football Inc., in the pinned comments. If you're listening, if you're watching this on YouTube, then please do us a favor and smash that link, and then hit the subscribe button. It's free to do, and you'll get to see some. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it. I think a lot of people do enjoy it so far. Yeah. Just quickly, Eric Morford. Good to see you, mate. 55 million for KUDUS. Tell him, buddy. My chairman. He's my chairman, Eric. My chairman. My
Eric,
boy Daniel Levy.
More foot or more hand? More foot. Yeah, more foot.
We got a super sticker. We're starting the super sticker chain. The train is going. Drew Zilla with a big super sticker, a bomber of a super sticker. Thank you very much, Drew. I hope you're okay, buddy. Love you to pieces, mate. If anyone wants to subscribe to the super sticker train, all you got to do is put in a 99 pence or $1 or whatever it is. And if we get enough of them, we can get a pretty bird to come and join us on the show to keep your attention whilst Johnny and I talk absolute bollocks. We got a second stop on the super sticker train junction. We're at Daniel Field's stop. He likes to
go. We're on Football Link now, doing a Football Link show. We were going to do it the other way around before.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%.
Drop on Football Link, that's for sure.
Mate, I do want to ask you, where are we going next, Johnny? Where are we going next?
6.
A 6 next?
Well, I would have thought a 6. But not if the rumours... Look, we don't know. They could be getting rid of players. They might have already earmarked players to go. You know, there might be a big overhaul. There might be 3, 4, 5 players that are going to be sold. We don't know that. We don't know.
Where do we go in the 6? Who do you want to see in the 6? Is Douglas Luiz? He's not a 6, is he? He's an 8. But in a double pivot for Tottenham, he could probably do that sort of job alongside a Bentancur, alongside a Berghvall. Or do you want to see us get a proper 6 in?
I mean, you could... Yao Gomez is a proper 6. There are a few 6s around. You know, we've discussed them many times before. I think he would definitely want to be getting in new signings before they go on the tour of Asia. So I would think they'd be trying to get them in any day now. The super sticker train has left the station.
We're stopping off in Ireland. We're going to Belfast for a stopover in. It's a train that can travel across waters if need be. We've already done that. We've gone across the pond to Drew. Then we came back into the UK. Then we're back up. Now we're in Belfast, and we've got another stop. We've got another stop in Paul French's location. How you doing, Paul French? Big up to you, mate. Enough money brings in a good-looking girl. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. She sounds so fucking.
I can't believe
crazy, we're doing it. We're doing it. Chad the Bolt is also coming in. No PSR issues with super sticker revenue, baby.
It's Sean. Why do you bring in a West Ham fan?
Yeah, we got to find a West Ham fan or two. Thank you very much, Chad. I appreciate you, mate. Cat Funt's come back in with another super sticker, super chat saying we should go for Ademola Lookman as well. He's proper good on FIFA. He's a proper good player, mate. He's a proper good player. He's played for Everton. He's been part of the Leicester team. He's been around the Premier League. He went over to Atalanta and smashed it out of the granny. Johnny, what's your thoughts about Ademola Lookman? I think the rumours were that West Ham are looking at him now to replace KUDUS.
I've always been a fan. We shall see what happens. He's definitely progressed since he's been away from Everton. I think he's a very good player. I'm more interested in who we're going to go for now. We can stop the talk of KUDUS is done. The right side is overloaded now. The left side is fully tanked up. So now we got to address the middle. I still feel.
But I want to show how satisfied are you?
10. We miss a creative 10 right now. For me, we need a creative top draw 10. We need a 6, and we need.
It looks like Mikel Tadzy's probably going to stay now. If Leon is staying, it looks like Orgun Koku's going to Besiktas. It looks like Akatoglu's staying in going to go to Besiktas. It looks like most of the 10s that we're interested in that are also capable elsewhere, like a Xavi Simons. I think Xavi Simons will probably go to Bayern Munich personally to replace Musiala. And at the same time, we've got 2 players that are very capable first teamers in Decky and in James Maddison. They're both injured at the moment. Do you know what's? I know. We saw Decky in training, didn't we? He wasn't training like doing the 1 kilometre sprint.
He's well off, Sean. He's well off. Forget it. He's months away. He's months away.
And what about Maddison? How far away is Maddison?
Well, I don't know. He looked like he was a flipping linesman at the tennis there. I don't know. Whoever
was he at the tennis? Was he?
Yeah, he was at the tennis, mate. He was at the tennis.
You don't mind a day out, does he? You don't mind a day out. That
no, he loves a day out. He loves a day out. I'm trying to think now who he was pictured with. It was with another footballer. I'm trying to think who it was. But listen, look, it's the start. It's what we've asked for. Look, we've got one player with huge potential, 20 years of age, Mathys Tel, and we've got Mohamed Kudus on the right hand side. Who can play right, false 9, right. We just don't know just yet what he's got planned for him, Thomas Frank. But we know that he likes to overload in triangles on the flanks. So I think, one would think he's going to be on the right-hand side. But, as I said to you before, Sean, a guy who complained about having to play on the left, yet he scored 3 of his 5 goals on that side. For us to justify the 55 million, his output has to revert to season 1 in the Premier League. And if he can do that, Gary Neville voted him the most exciting newcomer in the Premier League in his first season. And the fact that if Spurs can rekindle that or get that out of him. Conor Gallagher, that's it. Conor Gallagher. Could Conor Gallagher be coming back?
No.
Will they be swapping Conor Gallagher and cash for Romero?
No. do you even want Conor Gallagher?
No, I'm just saying he was.
Would you personally want him? I think he was just an Ange Postecoglou desire. I don't think any Tottenham fans really want him. I don't think any. I think he doesn't want to come to Tottenham. Like, it's a mutual distaste.
He was whispering. I saw him definitely making illicit advances on Conor Gallagher, whispering in his ear. God only knows what he was saying. Come on, Ange is gone now. Frank's a good guy. Koku's good. Look, there's plenty of options out there. What I know is that we don't have enough options now. We don't have a 6. We know we've needed a 6 for at least 2 seasons now. It's time to.
I think it's the time for Paratici. I think we've got to make a stop. The super sticker train's got to stop over in Italy.
I like Vinta. I want to get Vinta. I think in thought.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I'd rather have Vinta, I think, than Scalvini. Not that I don't rate Scalvini. I just think that the ACL is an issue. I know at 21 you can recover from those injuries more so than someone who's maybe 25, 26. But for me, he gives me Jan and Toby vibes. Belgium international, 6'3", right-footed, play right back, right centre back. Yeah, what's not to like? What's like? Takai.
Kota Takai, yeah.
Yeah. Kota Takai, I think people are playing him down. I think he's going to be a really good player. And I think the fact that he can play on the left side is a bonus as well. We don't want to be coming back to Ben Davies, let's be honest.
Do you think Ben Davies will if we do sign another centre back, do you think Ben Davies will end up leaving the club, or will he stay around but just be like a momentary player? And if so, is he that bad to have as like a 5th, 6th choice in case there's an injury crisis?
Mate, look, he runs the book club, and if he was to leave, the education system at Spurs would collapse. So, maybe we should keep them around. Our now brown cow.
Just quickly, we got the super train, the super sticker train has stopped off at Futures Lillywhite station. Thank you very much, my man. Same goes to Drew. He wanted us. He missed his train. He missed his stop. He's come back in front of. Come back. We've come back to get you, Drew. Appreciate you, mate. Same with Tom Martin, absolute legend. Couple more super chats coming through. Luke Wardle says, "Now let's go and get Richard Rios." Johnny, put your glasses back on and talk to me about Richard Rios, mate. Talk about your boy Richard Rios.
Listen, look, if I'm going to have the hots for anyone, it's Richard Rios. Just get the job done, right? Listen, he was playing futsal in 2017 and he was discovered by Fluminense from Menko at the under-20 futsal tournament. He hasn't even been playing football that long, like football. He's just a natural. I mean,
yeah, he is.
If we signed him, I would forget the Mohamed Kudus. I would be dancing around the living room. Because
how much do you think he's going to cost?
Around the same money, I reckon.
You think 60 million, yeah?
55 million, maybe.
Would be. Would that be a record transfer out of Brazilian football?
Nah, I don't know. Maybe if it isn't. Listen, I think I knew about him beforehand, but he's Colombian for a stars. I don't know. It's hard to gauge, to be honest with you, Sean. I think the Club World
I don't
Cup.
think it'll cost that. I think it'll cost like 35,
Well,
40.
it depends. The Club World Cup would have. It depends, Star. Yeah, 30 million before the tournament. Now the tournament's, he's come to the fore again, more worldwide. Then but probably ask for more. I think 30 million is fair value, but again, straight after, we've seen it before. Player plays well at the World Cup, has an outstanding tournament. The price was 30, now it's 50, 60. Saw that with Enzo. We've seen it so many times before. Rios is overrated. Okay.
Rios is trash, according to Godwick Diego.
Okay. Everyone's
I don't think he's certainly not trash, but I do think he's got an absolute wand of a fucking foot on him. He is that ball truer than I've ever seen.
Obviously not watched enough of him to be calling him trash. But there you go. Everyone, that's why we love football. Everyone's got an opinion. And if we all had the same opinion, it would be boring. Shawnee, I'm going to have to shoot, mate.
All right, mate. Yeah, no worries, buddy. I'm going to run off in 10 minutes. I'm going to speak to the audience for 10 more minutes, mate. I'll let you go. Thanks so much, Johnny. Appreciate you, buddy.
Pleasure. Give us a follow, guys. Go on Talking Tottenham 1882 if you're on Instagram. And Sean, don't forget to direct them onto the Football Inc. link.
Yeah, well done, mate.
Take care, guys. Thanks for listening.
See you guys.
See you later. Bye.
Guys, I want to talk to you for another 10 minutes, and I've got dinner myself. I've got to do some more video content for you because this changes everything. I'd already released a video, by the way. If you are someone that's on podcast, if you're on Spotify or podcasts, I've already uploaded a video that's available on that one. I'm not sure I'm going to upload. I probably need to go and update it before I put it out on YouTube. But the link's in the description. That way. Podcasts, Spurs Talk Show on Spotify and on audio. But I want to talk to you for just a few minutes on what are we doing with regards to the next move. For me, Koku possibly going back to Besiktas, but Benfica are not the sort of teams that fuck around. They're not the sort of teams that fuck around with their asking price. I don't think Johnny thinks differently. I don't think that Koku and Aktoglu, whatever his name is going to go just on loan fees because Turkish clubs want these players. I think they're going to have to put up the money. We don't know whether Saudi or not have the money. Edison is what Godwick's saying. He's not a six either. Douglas Luiz, Edison, they're not sixes. But I don't think we need a six the way we did under Ange Postecoglou. I think you have to kind of shake hands with the reality that. Interesting. David Ornstein's just said that Man United have just appointed their head of senior recruitment. They're working with consultant Sportology on key hire to revamp the department. Manchester United are in the mud. They are absolutely mudded. They don't have any ability to convince people to come there. They're in absolute turmoil. Why would you join Manchester United? Is there any chance? Guys, that we can take Mohamed to take Mohamed Kudus? And do we still need now we've got a right winger that can do other bits? Do we still need Mbumo? I'm not entirely sure we do. Wait, it's here we go, says Marshall. Well, you've been for the last 2 hours, mate. We got here we go. Mohamed Kudus is done. He's done. West Ham fans have been done. All the guys that come into my comment section after I upload a video saying Kudus is going to happen, believe it. And at the same time, there's a second bomber around the corner. All those people that may be watching this right now, or that maybe aren't. But you know what? I've got all your screenshots. I've got all the comments. I've got them all saying, Sean, you're a disgrace. You're a disgrace with your clickbait. I said, no, I'm not. No, I am not. Kudus is happening. This is what we do here. I don't know what you think this is, but we bring to you the latest news, views, and clues, and we sprinkle a little salt and pepper, and we let you know what's probably going to happen. When you factor in all of the lefts and the rights and the curveballs, we land on certain scenarios, and I don't think we're done at the top end of the pitch. I don't think we're done. I really don't. Do you? Let me know. I think we've got a couple more super chats I've got to come up to. Yeah, Luke Wardle said, let's go and get Rios. Come on, you fucking Spurs. And Hollywood Hotspur, good to see you, mate. Says Koku all day. We like a little bit of cock all day, don't we? Koku Van, maybe. Look, I think that Tottenham are not done at the top end of the pitch. You have to bake in. You have to factor in. You have to that you've got a couple of cock blocks going on. And when I say cock block, I'm not saying Koku. He's not a Koku block, but maybe we're being cock blocked on the Koku, if you know what I mean. Because you've got Richalison that is saying, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Well, maybe you're going to have to leave. And I actually quite like Dave's approach. I've got to be honest, guys. I like Dave's approach. Dave said, bring in the new guys and then basically tell him that where they are in the pecking order and say, look, you can stay if you want, but how's that going to help you in a World Cup year? But Dusan Vlahovic. Got to be honest, guys. Dusan Vlahovic. I don't know how I feel about him. How do you feel about Dusan Vlahovic? I think most fans would take him because he comes with a brand name, because we've spoken about him, because he was at Fiorentina. He went to Juve and he's he's got shoulders to die for. Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. His father hasn't had good sex ever since he was born. Just a fact. You know, that guy broke all sorts of rules on the way out. But I'm saying to you that Dusan Vlahovic, he might not have the pace to be like a Premier League aficionado, but at the same time, he is a goal scorer. He was a phenom at Fiorentina. He went to Juve. Most people, myself included, think he flattered to deceive, but he got 1 GA every other game, which is in a season when you're playing 50 games, which Tottenham hopefully will, 56, 60 games maybe. That's 30 GA. 60 GA, it's 30 GA. What are we saying here? What's the chat saying? Let's have a look at the chat skis. What are you saying, chat? What are you saying here? Boys, this window could be one of our most exciting ones. I love that. He's a Spurs. Everybody was upset, weren't they? Everybody. Everywhere. They were all upset. Daniel Field saying he's talking to Reece Jagger. We're going to move on. Need 3 strikers to fight on all fronts. Solanke, Richie, and 1 more. I'm not sure we're going to be able to squeeze in another winger. If Sonny's saying I'm not leaving, Solomon's got to go, by the way. He has to go. Solomon has to go. I don't care if you're someone that thinks that he should get a chance. He can have a chance to prove himself, but I don't think you can judge the championship on and say he's ready. And by the same token, I don't think you can judge him in pre-season. Pre-seasons are glorified fitness tests. That's all they are. That is all they are. So for me, Solomon's got to go. Tell you who else has got to go? Richie's got to go. Tell you else, you might have to go. Maybe Jamie Donnelly can't be ready yet. Makes a change, Dave, actually cracking smiles. He was a bit salty for the first hour, wasn't he? And then as soon as he got his boy, we love Dave. We absolutely love him. I can see a late in the window move for a left-sided forward or striker, 100%. Doesn't have to be late in the window, though. Let's just start getting crack-a-lacking. Let's get crack-a-lacking, people. What are we doing here? We can't pay him 350 grand a week, mate. We don't have to. We don't have to. The guy's available for sale for 15 million. 15 million pound. Pay him that. Pay him 10 million as a signing bonus and say, we're going to take 50 grand. We'll take 100 grand off your salary. Also, no one else is going to pay him 315 grand. Never going to happen. He ain't that guy anymore. He is overpaid before. It's madness that Juve paid it in the first place. I think Tottenham are more interested in his value sell on for 15 million. Who are you talking about? Are we talking about Solomon? Or are we talking about Dusan? Worth the risk on Dusan? I think so, at that price point. Sean is being zesty. What does zesty mean, China? China. Donald Trump, by the way, we've got to talk about him at some point. Maybe that's a story for Sean Butler TV. Has he been bought out by the deep state? Has he sold himself out? Because Epstein, he didn't kill himself. No, he did. apparently. And also there's no client list, apparently. Okay. What's happened there, Donald Trump? What's happened there, Pam, whatever your name is? Very zesty. What does zesty mean? Fruity. What does that even mean? Someone let me know. I'm going to have to zoom forward. Zesty equals nail. Someone getting their nails done. No nails here, guys. No nails here. No nails. No nails. What are we doing? He'll defo take a payout to come to a Champions League club in England, and especially being London and Spurs is exciting at the moment with Kudus and Frank coming in. Look at the shift. The shift in the narrative, because we got a here we go. Suddenly everyone's back on board. Just quietly, I was never off board this movement. Never off board it. Welcome back. Welcome back to the train. If you want to get yourself a train stop, all you got to do is throw in a little super sticker. We'll stop off at your junction. Let you on, let you off. If you've been someone that's been negative, if you've been someone that's saying that Tottenham's season sucks, Tottenham's window sucks, and now you want to jump back on board the train in the fourth quarter, if you want to get back on board, and I know who you are, I got all the comments, I got the receipts, I got all that stuff. I see. If you want to jump back on board, all is forgiven. All you got to do is just request a stop on the super sticker train. 99 pence and you're forgiven. 99 pence and you are forgiven. Kudus is better than Madueke, says the Big D, for the same price. Is actually madness. I would much prefer the Kudus signing. Are you not a Tottenham fan? Because if you are, you got the Kudus signing. Who do you support, Big D? Who do you support? Saving the Trump stuff for last, says Robert. Listen, we can do a redirect. I'm going to go downstairs and get some lunch in a minute, and then we can do the redirect over to Sean Butler TV, and we can get into that stuff, because what's going on in American politics? It's not even American. This is global. This is a global thing. It's a fucking disgrace. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. David Icke in 1991 said, "The world is run by pedophiles and Satanists." He was fucking right. Geezer was right, and he still can't walk into like 95 countries in the world. He's banned from all these countries because all he was saying was truth the whole time. The rest of the world is catching up. David Icke needs to fucking protect that man. What's even scarier, for what it's worth, is he was right about all the stuff that he said about the way the world works, but he doubled up and said all of that shit's happening because behind the scenes you've got reptilians. If he was right about the first thing, it took 25 years to come true. If he was right about that, is he right about reptilians? That's the big question. Maybe that's what we should be talking about on Sean Butler TV in the next conspiracy theory episode, which is coming soon. Peter Evans says, DiMarzio saying they are willing to tear up Vlahovic's contract. Fucking hell. Listen, Paratici's got to be getting over there and saying, what is going on? Why are you not interested in Dusan? What's going on? Is there something we don't know? Is there something we don't know about Dougie Luiz? Because if you really want Bissouma, we can make that happen. Bring in Adam Morton, says Nana K. That ain't happening. Although, actually, maybe it will now, because it looks like Palace are being dumped out of the Europa League, right? Looks like Palace can't participate in Europa League if Lyon do. And Lyon got themselves back into the Ligue 1, so they're now playing in Europe. So Palace are out after all their hard work. Sweet cap, Sean, says Jurgen. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're okay. Thank you very much. Kudus is a yid. Love it. Zesty is exciting, says Justin Mitchell. Okay. So it's good. It's a compliment then. It's a compliment. My nails being done is a compliment. Justin, only Saudi would pay Vlahovic 315. Yeah, he ain't going to Saudi. He's not going to Saudi. Reptilians are real. We have one running the club. For fuck's sake, Levy definitely a reptile. Brighton, are you mad? Of all the days, of all the moments to be mad, of all the moments to be furious at Daniel, he's just given you Mohamed Kudus, bro. He's just dropped you a kudo. You know, he just dropped you a kudo on the bound. Let's keep this stuff in context. Focal point saying Kudus will do well at Spurs, 100%. Shout out to you, my man. Smash the subscribe because I haven't seen you before. I like your name. I like your name. We're focal pointing it. TFP, bro. TFP. Warren's also injured. KUDUS was. He's saying it again. He's saying it again. He's saying it again. You've already said it. You haven't got to say it again. You're saying it too many times. You're saying it too many times, my man. I could block you. I don't want to block you because you seem like a new guy. KUDUS is in, Justin. KUDUS is in. Told ya. I told you. I told all of you. And I also said he ain't the only one. He ain't the only one. I said Mbumo's not dead. I said Eze's not done. Now there's new information popping up. There's new information percolating where we can speculate, where we can talk about where's the next one coming from. Is it going to be someone a little bit cheaper where there's more value attached? Are we going to go in the direction of a Jusan? Are we going to go in the direction of a Mikhail Tadzi? Are we going to go in the direction of an Orkun Koku? Are we going to go in the direction of a Xavi Simons? All of these people are up on the putt, and they all cost a fuck lot less than Mohamed Kudus did, and all of them are better than what we have. All of them are better than what we have. Let's not forget that. As you know what, Focal Point, you're saying this too many times now, bro. I'm gonna have to kick you. I'm gonna have to kick you out. I'll put you in a timeout. I'm not gonna ban you, but I'll put you in a timeout, bro. Has Bentancur's contract been done? No. And I want to know why, by the way. What is it? What's going on there? What is it? What's he think? Is he to get more? You want more? More? No. Not happening. Not happening. Going to go for another 5 or 6 minutes, guys. And then I'm going to have to jump off. But I'll be back later. Don't you worry about that. We've got more to talk about. Sean, what backup striker do you want? If I'm entirely honest, I think Dusan Blajovic is interesting at the price point. But I was told that we're going to be getting him for or we're looking at him for 50 million. I'm like, no chance, not worth it. He's not. But at 15, 20 million, if you then give him an extra 10 million signing or whatever, bring his price point down, his wages down to like 180, do something in that regard. He's still going to have minutes. I think I think he could really help. Arsenal cannot afford Eze, says John Burke. It's interesting. Danny Kiriakou, no way we get Eze as well. Never. But if we did, roll on the cigars. What do you mean? No way we get him as well. Never. What do you know, Danny? You don't know anything, bro. You don't know shit, Danny. I love you to pieces, bro. You don't know anything. We don't know anything. I'm just saying that it's possible. We can make things happen if we want to. We have the wiggle room. I think that I've been saying it since like December of last year that there's been things percolating in the background. Everybody was bored of the story. I've been saying it since December. The financial investment is coming. I think it might even be in already. We just don't know about it. And I think Daniel Levy's doing the inverse of what he was doing when we had the Gareth Bale money. I think we have money to spend. I think we have more money to go with. I really do. He wouldn't have come out. Let's be entirely fucking obvious here, guys. Let's talk facts. Vinay came in and co-signed the two of them for the first time ever, sitting on a camera and saying, our intentions are to win the league. They didn't say when, and it'd be wildly, wildly ambitious to say, like, when. But within the next 2 or 3 years, that's the ambition. Vinay co-signed it. They don't do that sort of thing if it doesn't have meaning and substance behind it. Everybody losing their mind, as always, was premature. The fan base do this. I'm not calling anyone out specifically. I'm not calling out channels specifically, but I'm sick to the back teeth of hearing fans and fan channels that just because nothing's happened today doesn't mean that Daniel Levy's always the fucking problem. He would not have said what he would have said. Like, it's the same. Arsenal fans are even fucking worse. They're so bad. Unless you demand excellence, perfection, impossible outcomes from things you have no control over, then you're the problem. I'm right. I've got a winner's mindset. You've got a loser's mindset. yada, yada, fucking yah. It's boring as fuck. It's repetitive. And Tottenham fans and Tottenham channels get sucked into it. I'm not someone that usually talks about other channels, so I'm not going to go into it. But like just generally fucking speaking, how about you just relax and think about the logic? Think about the fact that these people are not donuts. They know the proximity to the window. For Daniel Levy to say what he said with the new guy, CEO Vinay coming in, who's a PR dude, co-signing a narrative that our ambitions are to do X, Y, and Z at the start of the window. And then because nothing happens in 2 weeks of meaningful exchange, everyone thinks that it's just same old, same old. Like, wake up. Give it a chance. This window is heating the fuck up. And by the way, there are loads and loads of amazing players out there for Tottenham to get hold of. And we're going to get hold of one or two more. We're going to get a 6. We're going to get a centre-back. We're going to get maybe a left-back or right-back, whatever it is, to figure out the kind of the final four ball of our fullback options. And maybe we're going to get another forward as well. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And you guys in the comment, the people that call me out and I do my transfer news saying, Sean, you're just talking bollocks. We're not going to get either of them. Well, you're all wrong. You were all wrong because we got one of them today and there's another one coming in soon. I know it. I know it. We're saying super chat from Oscar. He's back on this. He wants to get on board. He wants to get on board the super sticker train. That's what we're doing here. Big up, Oscar. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you, boss. Good to see you. Sean is awesome, says Leanne Laron Deb. Appreciate you, mate. I'm not awesome. I'm fed up with the negativity. Fucking fed up with it. Celebrate. I guarantee you there's fans out there right now that have been saying for ages, we're not getting shit. We're not getting shit. We're getting no one. Daniel Levy is a fucking CUNT. Get out of our club. We get one. And they'll go, okay, what's next? Just the next is a pivot the fucking story. Move the goalposts. I can't be happy. I saw this on Arsenal fan channels, the people that make fortunes out of predicting losing lottery numbers. The second that they get hold of their boy Gyökeres, who still isn't signed, by the way, but when it was all agreed in principle and they got the here we go, they're sitting there going, how do I spin this into a reason to continue my narrative and to continue to satisfy my audience that are feeling the same way? Well, we've only got one. What happens if they get injured? I mean, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Sometimes, I know that positivity doesn't sell. I know that if the front page of the newspaper said 100 kittens were saved today from drowning, it would sell far less newspapers than 100 people die in a horror crash on the M25. I get it. But at the same time, you're a fucking fan. You're a fan. Try to find a reason to be positive. This is awesome news, and there's more to come. Tottenham Hotspur, look, we've still got a massive gap to close on the big three for sure, but we have just taken a giant march upwards. And with Thomas Frank's ability and his team, Cochrane and the rest of them that are coming in, they're going to organise us better. We're going to be more disciplined. We're going to be more prepared. We're going to be like thinking about the opportunities, thinking about the threats, the SWOT analysis of who we're playing every 3 or 4 days. There's no reason to think that we can't close the gap. 30 points is a massive gap to close, but 30 points can get us to top 5 back in the Champions League via the league format. Earn it and deserve it the right way. And I think with Thomas Frank alone, with the squad that we currently have before KUDUS, I think that Tottenham Hotspur could easily have closed 25 points just on being better disciplined and better organised and better structurally integrated into the right way of playing football. Now you throw in a Mohamed Kudus. Now you throw in a Dusan Vlahovic or a Douglas Luiz, or you go and get yourself a Coney de Winter. You go and get yourself one of these boys that have been out there that we're touted with, or people that we don't even know about yet. Who the fuck knows whether Kota Takai might be awesome, by the way? Who the fuck knows? Wouldn't be the first time. Lucas Berghvall came in last season. Everyone was like, who's this kid? And within about 5 minutes, he was our most integral part of our centre-back. Who's to say that Takai isn't going to be an integral part of our backline next season? With more organisation, more discipline, more structural preparedness, and with a couple of sprinkles in of salt and pepper into that squad, there's absolutely no reason to think we can't do bits next year. And I'm sick to fucking my back teeth of people always looking for a reason, even when there's positive news, to sit there and be like, yeah, but that's fine, but what's next? And let's just breathe this one in, drink this one in. I'm going to have a drink right now. Saying it's, just in case you're wondering, it's Tesco's fizzy water. Because I know you challenge me, you guys. But we can go again, guys. We can go again. Given Bissouma, Don Paratici return is like Cyro is seas. I know what that last part means, but Don Paratici's coming back. We're going to start seeing some plate spinning, news winging, transfer bombers is coming in. Kudus is a great signing, Sean. Def more to come, says Peter. Love that, my man. Jonathan Mills agrees with me. Good to see you. Speak to him, Sean, he says, Nicky boy. Yeah, I'm fucking speaking. I am speaking. Jimmy Two Toes. I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I'm vocal, mate, vocal. I'm not even animated. I'm just saying, like, everyone that wants to be negative, chill the fuck out. It's boring. It's boring being negative all the time. Jimbo with the super chat. You are 100% right, Sean. Well said, mate. Appreciate you, Jimbo. Appreciate you, mate. Hope you and Kate are doing well. Hope you're happy and healthy, doing the things that you love. I'm sure you are. You're the perfect match, right? The happiest couple. The happiest couple in the game. Kudus cocktails, sex on the Ghanaian beach. Love to see that. Love to see that. John Burke put in a super sticker as well. Thumbs up. Love that, mate. Thank you very much indeed, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. Listen, guys, look, there's more to come. There's absolutely more to come. There's 950 people here. I'm actually going to have to go for a wee in a second. So I'm going to leave it there. But what I am going to do, guys, is I'm going to say thank you so much for hanging around, paying attention, and jump on board the positive train, because Kudus is a game changer. It's a game changer. And if we can now move on to the next, move a couple of... I'm okay if the next story that comes out is that Tottenham are looking to sell and are negotiating a sale for Solomon or for Sonny or for Richie. I want to see one of these cop blocks getting out the way. And I don't mind if that takes up the next couple of days. As long as we have plans in place, and I think we do. To say, you got to temper the expectation, though, because the front three have kicked on. And we're going to be trying to close the gap. But Chelsea's our target. Chelsea's our next goal, because you've got the front three, Arsenal, Liverpool and City. They're fairly far ahead, right? At least for a couple of years. Fair enough. But Chelsea is our target, and Newcastle and Villa and United are the threats. Are we having a better window than those guys yet? Time will tell. How will it finish? Time will tell. We got so much to be positive about. If Daniel Levy can now shift on a couple of these guys, and then we go again, get in a six, get in a centre-back, get a left-sider to back up Micky van der Ven, get a full-back to complete that foursome in our full-back scenario, and then maybe go and get one more forward, either a striker or a versatile one. Reasons to be cheerful, guys. So if you are people that lean into that negativity bollocks, don't come here with it, because this channel is always about the positive as best as possible. I love you all. I want to say a massive thank you for stopping by. 2 hours of our time. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the granny, smash the subscribe. If you like football generally, you can get the same sort of vibes with me and Johnny on Football Inc. Link in the pinned in the chat. Please get over there and smash that subby. And if you want this stuff on audio, if that's your vibe on Spotify or Apple Pods or any of that stuff, links in the description. I'll see you later on for an upload or maybe another live. Like, subscribe, and comment. Love you all. Thanks for the super chat train. The super chat train has been sensational. We're chewing all our way to back into Champions League football. See you later, guys. Ciao.